Okay, so today we're going to grease the ball joints and the driveline for our 1990 Toyota 4Runner. So items that you're going to need for this job is a grease gun, some grease. I got royal purple synthetic grease gun, and probably good to have some paper towel on hand. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is load up the grease gun, twist it off here, and then you pull your follower all the way back so it wants to spring forward. Pull it back and then push up on this little guy to lock it in place as long as it's all the way back. You take your grease tube, and you should store them in this upright position so all the grease goes down to the bottom, doesn't create any air bubbles. Pop off your back cap. There's your grease, and then put it into the tube like so. Then you want to pop this cap off here. And then screw back on the cylinder here. Back it off a ways so that you can get all the air out. Then take your follower and take off the end. You can hear air escape from there. I'm pushing on the air bleeder valve here, letting all the air out. Sounds like all the air's out. Then I tighten it up, prime the gun by working the handle, and you can see some of the old grease is starting to come out. Go until the grease changes color to where the new grease is, and then we're ready for use. So I'm gonna work front to back, starting with the ball joints. One thing that might make life a little easier for you is turning the wheels to expose the ball joints and their respective grease nipples. So right here is the top of the driver's side upper ball joint. These particular ball joints have greasable nipples on them, and not all ball joints do, but these ones I made sure when I bought them that they did, so that they might last longer. So what I'm going to do is take my paper towel, clean off the nipple on top of here prior to greasing. Then what you do is you take your grease gun and you pop it on the nipple here. So right there you see that ball joint boot. I've got my grease gun hooked up to the nipple. I'm just going to pump it, and you'll see the boot start inflating. I don't know if you can see that, but that just means that I'm filling the ball joint with grease. So the ball joint is nice and greased up. So now I can take my grease gun, take it off the nipple, and that's the upper ball joint done. So this right here is the lower ball joint. The nipple is located right here. So again, I'm gonna clean her off. And the grease has gone into the boot, so she's good to go there. I tend to grease the ball joints at the same time as I grease the driveline. Just makes it easy because you have your grease gun already handy, and it kind of keeps them on a regular schedule. So in our 4Runner, underneath the driver's side sunshade is actually instructions on how to grease the driveline. I will include a picture that you can reference in this video. Okay, so what I'm going to do, just to make it easier for myself and getting underneath the vehicle, I'm going to put the 4Runner up on some ramps. So again, keeping with the theme, I'm going to work my way from front to back. And what we're going to be greasing is the front shaft here and U-joints that come out of the transfer case, and the main drive shaft, U-joints, and the shaft itself. They run all the way back to the rear diff. So here on the front drive shaft, there are 2 grease nipples, one here and one in here. So again, I'm just going to clean them off. Just apply a little bit of pressure to the end, and then you can hear coming out of the U-joint. Might be able to see some come out the U-joint as well. And pop her on the second one here. Oh. She's not wanting to go in. Oh, maybe she's already full. So there's one there. So there's coming back from where we were just greasing here, coming back on the front drive shaft, there are 3 nipples on this side, and you can actually rotate this guy around so that the nipples line up with this cutout in the guard here. So here's the main drive shaft here. I'm in neutral. I do have a chock underneath that wheel so it doesn't roll backwards. But here's the main drive shaft, and even though I'm in neutral, can't rotate it because the wheels are on the ground. But underneath this front part here, there's 2 grease points. There's one right here for this collar, and the other one is right here. One thing to note, if your vehicle was just running, this pipe is going to be pretty hot, so you should probably let it cool down before doing this. So on our 4Runner, it's kind of slightly different than the diagram. So there isn't like a third sort of midsection here that holds up the shaft. It's just one shaft that runs from the transfer case all the way back. And on this U-joint, this is at the back near the rear diff. So right here, there's only one grease point for the U-joint. So I did notice 2 other grease points that I failed to mention earlier, and right there is one nipple for the inner tie rod on the driver's side, and the other one is right up in there, which is the inner tie rod for the passenger side. Might be easier to take the skid plate off, but I don't really feel like doing that right now. So I hope this helps you guys grease all the significant points on your second gens. It's pretty important that depending on the type of driving that you're doing, that these points remain lubricated so that they last longer and they don't break down on you. As the pamphlet that I found under the driver sunshade said, if you're doing more off-road or having those points even submerged, you need to grease them more frequently than if you were to drive just every day on the road driving. So I hope this helps you guys find those points, Thanks for watching, and cheers.